Hello, everyone, and welcome to Six Figure Souls Doing Good and Making Money, the weekly podcast highlighting entrepreneurs who have crushed the six-figure ceiling while remaining fully aligned with their soul's purpose. I am your host, Camille Miller, founder of the Natural Life Business Partnership and pioneer for the Soul Professional Movement. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Wiener McGregor from Whole Life Happy. She is a wealth coach, podcaster, and hypnotist. Welcome, Rebecca. Thanks for coming to our podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So I met Rebecca through Tyson Sharp, actually introduced us. And I was a guest in your Wealthy Women Summit.
Yes, that was so much
months
fun.
ago. That was amazing, by the way. Really a great summit. And I've kept in touch with some of those speakers too. So you're also a great connector. But I wanted to also interview you to return the favor, but also because you had such an interesting story. So the first thing I want to dive into is your titles, because wealth coach, podcaster, and hypnotist don't always go together on the same line. So I want to talk a little bit about what you do and how the hypnosis comes into the wealth coach piece. Do you do them together? How does that look?
Both and separately. So yeah, this is my 18th year anniversary of becoming a hypnotist.
Woo! Oh my goodness.
Right, yeah, and this month. So it's like a super fun, goosebumpy kind of time for me, remembering what it was like to have my massive breakthrough. And so I started as a hypnotist. That was the beginning of my professional journey. It was the beginning of my spiritual journey. The beginning of my really deep into my self-development journey and into wealth mindset and all of those things. And so I really started with helping people with anxiety, because I healed the anxiety that I was feeling using hypnosis. So that was my springboard.
Okay, so hypnosis was your first practice out of the bat. 18 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And I take it you were doing like one-on-one sessions with people, and that's how you started?
Yep, and I still do. I love it. That's my passion. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then how did you intertwine the wealth coach piece?
It's the most fun evolution ever. So, okay, when I really started getting into networking, which was very early on in my practice, I was networking with other female entrepreneurs and talking to them about, working through their self-imposed limitations, all those old stories and traumas that have caused us to think and behave the way we do now.
Yep.
And into my journey, I really discovered that I had my own money blocks and things like overgiving and under receiving and all of that kind of stuff. And it became a part of the conversations because all of my clients were just like me, female entrepreneurs setting up their businesses, trying to do good in the world and not feeling very well paid, not feeling like they could ask for money for their services, for the transformation they offer. And so I noticed that I was saying the same things over and over. And then I, not very long ago, just really at the beginning of 2020, created a course called Extraordinary Wealth. And so I've been doing the wealth mindset coaching for probably 8 years, and then added in the course a couple of years ago.
Oh, beautiful. So now I understand. So it's the mindset piece of it, not so much the bookkeeping piece of it.
Right.
It's the believing that you're enough, like what I call overcoming under earning, which was a book title that someone did a long time ago. So
that's a good book title. That's a really good book title.
I love it, because I do see that in entrepreneurs that most of it is their mindset. And that really is one of the reasons we do this podcast, is to tell people stories and journeys, because a lot of times, especially on Facebook, people look like they're achieving a lot or doing a lot or talking about all of this money that they're creating and making and listen to my ways. And it wasn't, if it's true, number one, if it's true, it wasn't always that easy. Like everyone had, pit stops and fall downs and a lot of mindset. Like I believe that you can do anything if you shift your mindset to believing it. Right. And that's the hardest part. And I don't care what level you are at your business, it shows up again.
Absolutely.
There's stuff that I think I cleared, and all of a sudden it's like, where did that come from? Like, I know this. I thought I worked on that. And it shows up again.
Yeah. It really is a practice. Being in tandem, in relationship with your mind is an ongoing life practice, and can also be the most fun, epic journey of your life.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about I'm calling it your soul's journey, but your awakening. Were you always awake? Were you born awake? Did you become awake? Are you still awakening? I think everyone's still awakening, but.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I was born like knowing all the things and was fully awake, right? There was a part of me that I think has always had a belief that things would turn out, things would be okay, and that there was a guiding force in my life. That part, I don't remember a time in my life when I didn't have that.
Okay.
But what happened to me when I became a hypnotist and started working on self-development was that I shifted my life from being about waiting for someone to save me to realizing
Knight in shining armor. Yep.
that I could save myself, and that I could create the life that I want. And that was just as I was entering my 30s was when I started that journey. And now I'm 48. How did that happen? But I'm 48, and my journey is not only can I create my life, but I can have a lot of fun doing it. And it gets to be a lot easier than I thought.
Oh, so beautiful. Can I ask, what did you do before hypnosis?
Oh, I worked in banking industry in something that did not suit me at all. But it was all there for a purpose.
Absolutely. That's why we asked the question.
Yes, I worked in this. I think one of the things that really helped me in that career path, which I was in for a long time, I had done college. I was a non-traditional student, went back to college, and but what I really learned was how to communicate through those jobs. I worked with big teams, lots of customers, and really learned how to communicate and have patience in communication. And then one day in this job that I had for 8 years that I didn't like a single day that I worked there. Sorry to the company. I did not like it a single day.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I met my best friend who would say to me, "What do you know about hypnosis?" And that changed everything.
And did you know anything about hypnosis before that moment?
No, 2 paragraphs in a book in psychology, maybe in college.
And what made you say, yep, that's the path I'm taking?
I was in a very hiding social anxiety place in my life.
Okay. And
he said, what do you know about this? And I said, not really anything, because psychology doesn't talk about it. The APA doesn't want to talk about it. And he said, I think you could help a lot of people. I know you want to help people. And I said, okay. I was still in my deferring, right? So you find us a good teacher.
I was going to say, have you ever gone through hypnosis before?
Nothing, not a single clue.
That is unbelievable. Okay, go ahead.
Nothing. And there was something inside of me that said, muster up a yes. Muster up a yes to this. So it was like a sure. And then you find us a teacher and I'll go with you, because he said, let's do it together. And then he ditched me, and it all turned out great. I went and completed it. And during that time, like I said, I was dealing with a lot of social anxiety, and I released that from my life. I haven't felt it since because of my work.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then, so my passion since then really has been about helping people release trauma that causes anxiety, panic, rage, blocks, that kind of thing.
So you finished this hypnosis course.
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
I think it was like 6 months or something like that to do the whole thing.
You're certified or whatever that's
certifiable.
And you go out in the world, you say, this is how I'm going to support myself. And what was that like, even getting your first client? Like, did you do it in person, I assume?
I did it in person until
Yeah.
2018, actually.
Okay.
And so my first clients were people I was just talking about it to at work, just because I had my job for many years after that even.
Oh, okay.
And I started, what was really funny, and I've not really ever shared this with anybody, but I worked for a $1 trillion industry, right? $1 trillion bank. And some of the people in the C-suites became my client.
That is amazing. I think
Yeah.
we see more of that now, but in 2018.
This was like, 2008.
Oh my gosh.
This was
You would have seen it at all.
2010, right? It was a long, long time ago. And it was not just one, it was many started to recognize that they needed to tap into their mind.
You had to be pretty dynamic to get them to become your client. So how did you say, hey, I'm doing this?
I just talked about it all the time because I was so freaking happy that I couldn't talk about anything else.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's your passion coming through.
Totally. And I would just have these conversations about, Rebecca, I'm feeling this block. Rebecca, I'm feeling stuck in this. Rebecca, this isn't working out. Well, I know how to help you with this. If you want to, we can do some work around it. And so I started working out of my apartment. I had this cute apartment and I started taking clients there. And then I moved again into a tiny apartment and had clients there.
Wow.
And eventually my department closed in the bank and I had an option to stay with a kind of a lateral crappy alternative job. It would have been crappy for me, not for other people, but it just wasn't fit for me. Or take my tiny, tiny little severance package because I hadn't worked for the company very long and go. And I leapt. And
you took the leap.
About a month before we found out that the company or our department was closing, I'd actually rented a tiny little office, a little cubicle office. And I stayed there for 3 years, eventually rented the space next to it, then moved on to a bigger space and a better space and all of that. Yeah.
That's an incredible story. Incredible.
It's been a really fun journey, Camille.
And then, so how did you start with the wealth mindset that you've dovetailed into it?
Well, the part of it really was my own journey. The big part of it was
law of attraction.
Yes.
And only really attract what you bring out. Yep.
Yes. People bringing these ideas into my life. And when I started my business, I was like calculating, if I charge this amount per hour and I can squeeze this many hours into this week, this is what I can make per year.
Yeah.
In the transformation space, that is a hard way to work.
Yep.
And so I did a lot of pushing myself and a lot of overgiving and overdoing and discounting and all those kinds of things, right? And then there was a point where I looked at my bank account on vacation and I had like $400.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was so disconnected to how much money I had, so disconnected from it, so disconnected to, from what it would be like to fill my accounts, to build up my accounts, that this was my fun money on vacation and what I was going to need going back home was $400 roughly.
Wow. And to live on too.
Yeah.
That was your survival money.
Right. Yeah. I did have the faith.
At least you're on vacation.
Right. I did have the faith in me that I knew that when I got home, I'd have more clients because I trusted in that process, right? Yeah. That I was building relationships and clients always came. I always had new people starting. But that was a wake-up call moment for me. It was like, you deserve to accumulate money. You deserve to do more than just get by. And so I really dove into shifting my mind to be able to receive bigger, to allow more, and to really call in the clients that were willing to pay for their transformation because they wanted and needed to invest in themselves.
Yeah.
And I needed to stop trying to make it work for everybody. I needed to have my standards. And so I started living by new rules for myself, really, about, you're not going to take that client who wants to meet at 8 p.m. No, you're not going to take that client who wants to meet on Saturday all the
So
time.
boundaries.
Yes.
What I'm hearing. You put boundaries around what you will accept and not accept. And it wasn't really about the money. It was about feeling good about it. And being in alignment.
And all of that impacts the money.
Absolutely. So did you create packages too? Because I think that's important for people listening.
Yes.
When Rebecca was originally talking about trading her time for money, one session at a time, to saying, these people don't work for me. I'm looking for this X client. Yeah. And now we're going to sell them a package. So it's a long-term commitment.
Yes.
What did those packages look like? Were they 12 weeks, 3 months, a year?
At that time, they were usually 8 weeks, 8 to 10, 12 weeks, right around in there.
Because
hypnosis is swift. So we don't need to do 20 years of sessions, which is really nice.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to really offer people a beautiful time frame to make a transformation in their life. Release anxiety, release the anger, release the gunk, the flashbacks, whatever it is. And then over the years, my work got more potent. The transformation got deeper and wider. And it's, oh my gosh, I love my job so much that I just had so much fun. And then I got to work with less and less, fewer and fewer clients because I was charging more, and they were happy to pay it because they knew that decision for them to make that move and invest in themselves and set that up. They knew with that decision that everything started to change right then.
Beautiful. So fast forward to today. Yeah. What does your business look like? Do you still do the one-on-one clients only? Do you have other programs?
I have a group course. That's my group program right now.
Okay.
And I do one-on-one clients still. And a lot of it is VIP days now. So it's like one big day and then maybe one follow-up session or a few follow-up sessions, depending on their needs. And then I also have people who work with me for a full year if they have really big shift that they're working on. Particularly, I work with a lot of female leader entrepreneurs who are like, want to bust through some stuff. They want to elevate their standards, their ways of operating, and then really reach a particular goal or destination within that year. Beautiful. And so that's what we focus on.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. The VIP days, are those for a single person or are they group VIP days?
I don't do any of those things as a group. Those are one-on-one.
That's nice. Wow.
It's really nice.
That's a deep dive.
It is a deep dive and it's straight magic. It's so good. When you can take that time to go deep into your mind and into your desire and connect your mind and your spirit, there ain't nothing going to stop you.
So I'm curious with the hypnosis technique, on the business mindset, are they recalling things and then remembering it when they wake up, or how is it working? Are you, do they know what their blocks are and it's coming out in hypnosis? Like they're seeing?
Well, I know what their blocks are usually after they've done some explaining because I have a lot of experience with that. Yeah. And we've had conversations about, what has happened in their lives and where they believe certain beliefs have come from. Okay. And hypnosis is really special because you remember what you talk about in hypnosis. And when you open your eyes, it's during the process, we integrate all of it. So you're recalibrating into your new way of being right then.
Interesting.
So yeah, you're healing past experiences by validating them, honoring the story, speaking to the story. We can actually neutralize the physical, emotional, and behavioral response in the body. All right then and there, even with the discovery of, I didn't know how that impacted me like this.
Yeah.
And then really getting into the embodiment, stepping into the way of being that you want to be right now. Not waiting for her to show up for you, but you showing up for her right now and being her now. Beautiful. And trusting that whatever you want will come as a result of this way that you want to feel.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about a team. Is there a team around you? Are you supported in any way?
Oh, I'm supported divinely and earthly, I think. I have 2 team members who will work with me full time.
Okay.
And they are a huge help to me. I have an operations manager, and then my community manager also does a lot of design and our tech stuff. So they're a little jack of all trades, but we run a tight ship, and they're really specialists in being amazing. So
do you have a membership community as well when you talk about community?
Our community, we have a free community, and then we also have the community for the course. It's a course.
Gotcha.
Community.
Okay.
Yeah, so they help me manage that and take care of everybody in there.
So I want to talk a little bit about that type of scaling for the people listening, because we've heard, you know, it was a side hustle, and then at some point you took the leap, right? Mm-hmm. And now you've hired people. Who's the first person that you hired?
The first person that I hired was a designer, editor. She makes everything beautiful in my world. Her name is Allie. And we contracted together for years and years. And then 2 years ago, or it's going to be a year and a half, I said, what will it take to get you full time? And she gave me the number, and then I topped it. And then we happily started to coexist, working full time together. And then a few months after that, I added Jessica, my operations manager. She really helps to keep all of us on track with goals and projects and the scheduling and all of that good stuff.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think sometimes with entrepreneurship, it's really hard for someone to take that first step, even to hire a part-time VA. Yeah. Once you do it, you're like, whoo, wow, I had no idea how much I was doing. The operations manager is a big one.
That was really special and huge for me. Yeah. She felt like, I think, my first luxury hire after having, I think at one time I had 5 assistants just doing other things for me. But this one being, you know, having her as full-time employee was really, having those two together. They're such a beautiful pair on their own. Yeah. They don't even really need me, but so we have a lot of fun together, and they're really passionate about the mission too. So that's really special.
So beautiful. Yeah. Did the pandemic over the last 2 years hurt your business, help your business? Did it not change?
It changed me, I would say.
Okay.
I took some time to kind of slow down a little bit.
Good.
And I had my own contraction, you know, how that's just as important as the expansion. Yep. And so it changed me because we ended up making a major move during that time. Last year, we moved 2.5 hours to a lake property, and which was a dream that we had, my husband and I had together. And so that changed a lot for us. And the good news, I think probably the best thing for me, was that I already was working full time with people online, like this on Zoom. Yeah. That I was able to help other people to set up their businesses online. And some of my cohorts, especially in the hypnosis world, everybody was doing many people were doing traditional face-to-face. And so I spent time doing that, and spent time really thinking about what it was that I really wanted to go forward. And so I'm even carrying that into this year, deciding, okay, if you're going to be 48 in August, what do you really want to do for the next 10, 12 years of your career? Mm-hmm. Do you even want it to be that long? And what do you want to be doing in that time? So for me, while it was a time of a lot of loss, and it was a time of slowdown, it was also a real big time to take stock. Yeah. Yeah.
I got that. Yeah. That's a great thing.
Yeah. I think it ended up being pretty okay.
Yeah. I think 2020 shook the world for everyone. I don't care how you came out of it, but it shook everything up.
Yep.
Right. And I think people decided what was really important to them. Oh, yeah. Right. And now I think 2021 was just getting our feet straight again. Like it was just like, what is happening here? And I feel like 2022, this year that we're just started, is really about shedding what no longer serves us. Yes. It's about, where do we go from here? Because I'm feeling steady or stabilized. Do I want to, maximize my business? Do I want to go bigger? Do I want to go smaller? What does my life look like? Who are the people I still want to see all the time? Like and I believe all businesses are becoming part of your lifestyle, right? Because 2020 really gave us that luxury of being home, not commuting. I live in a state where people commute hours to go to work. So it is really shooken up people that right now they're starting to call people back to work, but for 2 years they've been at home with their families. And a lot of people are going, yeah, no, if you're going to make me come back, I don't think I'm going to do it. So it's kind of cool. But I think 2022 was all about shedding what doesn't serve you anymore and kind of looking at that bigger picture of how is my lifestyle, my life dovetailing with what I do every day? Do I want to get up and do it? And it's okay to stay exactly where you are, to stabilize, to be like, what I'm doing right now feels really good. Or I want to do this one other thing, but I want to let this other thing go that keeps me home, but I want to travel more. I'll still do what I do, but maybe I go, the big thing I'm hearing in our visionary CEO section of our community is working 3 days a week. I can't tell you how many people are saying that now. I'm at 3.5, but that's like the vision of, it's not 5 days anymore.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I haven't worked 5 days a week for probably 8 years.
Yeah.
And my vision in the beginning of March, I had a little breakthrough with my coach because coaches need coaches too.
They absolutely do.
It was, what do you want to do? And I said, work 6 days a month.
Ooh,
so that's where I'm headed. Yeah.
You upscaled there.
Yeah, I'm so excited for all the other things that I want to explore in my life. Art is a big thing for me. Learning and exploring all of those things that I don't want to be tied to only this. I have other ways that I can express my love in the world and my passion in the world.
That's so beautiful.
And I think many of us are really multi-passionate anyway.
Yeah.
And that we don't have to, you said something really important, that you don't have to keep it going the way that you want, the way that it was.
Yes.
And if you like the way it is going, stay on that track. But you get to really tap into not just what you think is possible, not just what you think you can get, but what you really, really, really want. And then go for that. Yeah.
I think people forget that they can keep tweaking their businesses. We launched a product 6 months ago that I literally took it off today. I was like, nope, I made a mistake. It didn't feel good. Mm-hmm. I sold enough of them, but I was like, nope, that doesn't feel good. That's not what I want to do. So we're tweaking. And I was like, we're just going to go forward. It doesn't feel good anymore. Yes. So but it's okay to change course.
Yes, there are things that I worked on when I first started as a hypnotist. I help people stop smoking. I help people do lots of other things. And I haven't done any of those for a really long time. And I had a membership program in 2017, and that didn't feel quite right. Mm-hmm. We get to try things and decide it and change our mind.
Absolutely.
That's the point of being an entrepreneur and having your own business, is that you are the boss of everything.com. You get to have fun and choose for you what you want it to be instead of what you think other people think your life should look like, or what you think. If you like the way something else looks on somebody else, it's kind of like, picking a shirt because it looks like really good on someone else, and then you put it on yourself and it doesn't fit. It's okay to put that aside and go for something else.
That's beautiful. I love that. I think there's a big difference in what you're saying with the entrepreneurship and then just giving yourself a job.
Yeah,
right? Absolutely. It's different when you're an entrepreneur. You see yourself kind of climbing out of it and still maintaining everything that you've done. Your business goes on. I always say it's my legacy. I just want to leave my legacy, but I don't want to be in it for the rest of my life. Right. Like my name could be attached to it, but not my hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So beautiful. Rebecca, what's the next thing for you?
The next thing for me is, I think, scaling my membership scaling my course. That's where I have my members. And another book. I wrote a book that came out in December, and then I have one sitting right here that I think is ready to be put into paper soon. And I want to create lots of good art and have a lot of fun.
I love that. I love that. What's the name of your book?
It's called Loving Her, 10 Loving Standards to Call Forward the Wealthy Woman Inside You.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Thank you.
Rebecca, for people listening, how can they best get in touch with you if they're just loving what you're saying, or they're saying, I need this woman?
I would love for them to just reach out to me through my website, RebeccaWiener.com.
Okay. And all of your information for anyone listening to this will also be in the show notes. So you can go down there. If you can't reach her, you can definitely contact us. We will get you in touch. We promise. Rebecca, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast and telling your story with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a really generous podcast. I really love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for joining us today. For more information about the Soul Professional movement, go to soulprofessional.com. This podcast is sponsored by the Natural Life Business Partnership, a global professional organization and business incubator for the soul-aligned professional. If you live in a higher vibration, have an alternative approach to business, and are here to help repair the world, come meet us for a meet and greet, and you can go to soulprofessional.com to find out the next date by you. Thanks everyone for listening.